Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. In past videos, I've addressed the issue of fencing and the benefits of making sure that your property is fenced once you've purchased it. I'm going to be touching a little bit more on that in this episode. You're watching On Land in Kenya. I am Solomon Wangwe.
That's good.
So as I mentioned before, fencing is great for property after you bought it for the main reason that most of us are familiar with, and that has to do with security, right? You perceive that it's safer or your property is more secure and you avoid issues around encroachment on your property once you've fenced it, which is true. But today I just want to throw in an idea in your minds that maybe most of you haven't considered before, and I guess I would ask you to just take a look at the scenery behind me. Beautiful land. We're still in Nanyuki. We're right now about, I'd say, 2 kilometers from Olpejeta's main entrance on the Rumuruti Road, where we've just come from. If you haven't seen that video, please catch the last one. And Olpejeta is thriving with wildlife, partially because of all the vegetation that's there as food for the wildlife and also as shelter for wildlife like the cheetah and the herbivores. We're only 2 kilometers from there, but behind me, as you can see, there's virtually no vegetative cover. It's nice and flat, great for farming if that's what you want to do, but zero vegetative cover. What's the reason for that? And you'll notice there is no fencing. Places that are open to public access generally will have very sparse vegetation because we trample on the ground. As you can see around, there's a lot of livestock, sheep and goat being herded around here, so they feast on all the vegetation in the area. And in some cases, like we experience on some of our properties, sometimes the locals will come and harvest branches from your growing vegetation for charcoal or firewood and various other reasons, and that keeps your property from growing the vegetative cover. It doesn't allow nature enough time to replenish, as we've just seen in Olpejeta, only 2 kilometers from here. Very different scenery from what we're standing on, simply because they have fenced, they have very tight security. Entry and access to that area is very restricted, and therefore you have a situation where vegetation is given enough time to grow and nature takes its due course, and it's much more beautiful, and I would propose to you a lot more valuable to your future buyer when you're ready to sell, and at the very least a lot more interesting and more beautiful to live in if you decide to develop on the property at some point. I hope that makes sense to you. So get busy about protecting access to your property if you've already bought land, and protect the ecology for your property. You're watching On Land in Kenya. I'm Solomon Wangwe. Stay tuned for more information on strategic land investment.